Now they're clean up the problem, and indeed the left was used in the 60s and 70s to try and stop small businesses and medium businesses that weren't unionised, and that was all part of the growth of bigger corporations, because they thought bigger corporations, bigger trade unions, basically. So the left has played its part in this corporatism, there's no doubt about it. But you talk to people about not paying a mortgage, that's their language, that's how we do it. We understand that their system works upon credit, like mortgages, but you stop paying off those credit debts, it's a pyramid scheme. If there's no money going at the bottom, nobody's going to keep putting money in at the top. So it brings the thing down virtually overnight. It doesn't take many people for the other side to stop investing. It's not going to take many more than that for the whole thing to become untenable and the government to declare we can no longer do this. The national debt is getting towards 2 trillion now. We can't pay that off, so cancel it. Cancel all debt raised at usury. Imagine that would change the world overnight.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because what I'm saying to people as well is, I want people to look after themselves. I want to give them their home so they're free, so they don't have to work so many hours every month or so many weeks every month to pay that off. And then, of course, what they can do, they're going to be rich beyond their wildest dreams. They don't need an NHS, they can invest in private medicine. Because I believe the NHS is not a left-wing monolith. It's responsible for pharmaceutical medicine, which is destroying humanity. Well, I think the 3rd or 4th highest cause of death is by doctors wrongly prescribing medicines and not doing proper procedures. More doctors doesn't mean more good health, basically. We know that cannabis is an all-purpose antiviral, antiseptic, antibacterial, anti-cancer. What else is it going to do? There's not many other things that we need in medicine, basically. And that's what I want to say as well, is all these people are interested parties. The BMA is not an objective assessment of cannabis, because they know if they say cannabis should be legal and people should be able to self-medicate with it, they haven't got a job anymore. The same with the government. They're an interested party because they have for so long banned cannabis. When it starts to come out that it's a cure for cancer, where are they going to go with that? Because we also know that the American government banned the research showing that cannabis was anti-cancer in the 70s. I mean, this is about as barbaric as it gets. Can you imagine the mindset of the psychopath who thinks, I'm going to destroy the research that shows there's a cure into cancer because it's cannabis? We don't like that. It helps people see God. It helps stop people seeing, listening to our vile message. What sort of a psychopath do you have to be to do that? I was there the day in court when they did it in this country and banned medical marijuana. 3 appeal court judges sat there in front of people in wheelchairs and walking sticks and said, no, you can't have something that relieves your pain. That is psychopathy. God doesn't see death as a big problem, but suffering, yes. And those people should be made to pay for that.
And of course they're a tiny minority, aren't they, really?
The psychopaths,
but
the problem is they're very charismatic, and with the best will in the world, there's a lot of very stupid middle-class women out there who cannot see through the psychopath in a suit. They're the people who elected Barber. They're the people who elected Blair, basically. A bunch of women who kind of half fancy these guys. To see to see a psychopath, it takes a kind of someone. You understand with psychopathic behaviour.
You need some sort of insight.
Psychopaths are intelligent, so they've learned certain behaviours, and this is why it's been shown that actually psychotherapy for psychopaths is bad, because by talking to their psychotherapist, they gain insight into what is normal human behaviour. So they pretend to do that, and the psychiatrists are making progress, but actually the reoffending rates are worse for psychopaths who've had criminal therapy. They have the thing is that it's not they don't understand right and wrong. They do. They'll try, psychopathic serial killers will cover up their actions. So they know they're not supposed to get caught for this. The problem they have is this lack of empathy, which is also compassion. Compassion doesn't mean to feel sorry for. People in spiritual journey say you need compassion. Feel sorry for people. That is the most egotistical thing you can do, is to feel sorry for somebody. Go and help them.
You need to understand,
understand and go and help them. Don't feel sorry for them. That is the most superior thing you can do, and has no place in the spiritual journey at all. True compassion, empathy, is to understand how someone is feeling, but then you don't just say that's okay, because you get somebody who says, I'm so offended by this. So then, of course, you've got to protect that person. But no, the man of wisdom says to that person, no, well, you can be offended by anything. Offence is not harm, because again, this is one of the things that's used, particularly by the left in this day and age. Anybody who's said to make a racist remark or whatever will immediately be attacked by the karma police, even if that remark is not racist. Only in the minds of the left is it racist. Those people will be hounded. Now, those people have not caused harm. To hound a man who has not caused harm is a violation of the law, a violation of morality, and a waste of time, basically. But until we stop doing these things, we're going to have the same problem. Anybody who comes up with anything decent, they just have a load of people saying, oh, I'm so offended, I really want to slap these people around the face and make them go and live in downtown Gaza, you know what I mean? Go Don't stand there near Israeli bombs and get offended by anti-Semitism. Go on.
Yeah. Just going back to the psychopath thing, I think the lack of empathy is to do with a certain part of the brain, isn't it? So let's say we've got Tony Blair opposite you here. What would you say to him? You can say anything you want to him. Using him as an example.
Confess, right. And I've actually written
for
to
your
Blair.
own soul, right?
I've written to Blair and I've said to him, I will hear your confession.
Okay.
I've tried to explain to him that, it's much better to confess. The fact he thinks he's a man of God, but he's not, he's a man of the church, which is different. I mean, this is a man who joins the Catholic Church to try and gain redemption. I thought that kind of thinking went out the window amongst sane people about 400 years ago, basically, with the Reformation. Of course the church can't redeem you. I can't redeem you. You can only redeem yourself, but only then by using your free will to go on the journey of love. And clearly Blair hasn't done that. I think he's a psychopath, and therefore he won't. What it's going to take is something really terrible to make him go on the journey. Now, my information is Blair is the Antichrist.
Right.
So you've had the reign of the Antichrist already, so what the New World Order is trying to do at the moment is bollocks, and they haven't got it right, basically. People would say, is that really the case? Well, Blair, this was a man who, the power of the world was in his hands. America wanted to go into Iraq, he could have said no. And he didn't. He said yes. He got it precisely wrong. He's created all the problems we have in the world now. Yeah. He's turned a blind eye to torture. I mean, even my own case, in which human beings are murdered by the British Intelligence Service, he doesn't even want to take the evidence of that. That, to me, is evidence of psychopathy. It really is. So I would say that Blair's got to confess, because the prophecy says the man of evil, the Antichrist, is the one that ultimately has to give his own life. The story we're told in the Bible, we think we're told a story of two different Christs, is Jesus the Saviour is not put to death. The story doesn't make any sense then. At various points the Bible says that the Son has life in himself like the Father. You can't kill the Son. So it's not going to happen. The evil man is the one who has to be put to death to redeem himself, because he's so evil it's the only way he can do it, is to sacrifice his own life.
Right, so you put Blair on trial, would you?
I'll put him on trial.
For his sake and for everyone's sake.
Well, if he came to me tomorrow and said, my God, I've been a complete cunt, I'm going to do everything I can to try and redeem myself and tell people this war was terrible and wrong, no, I don't put him on trial. That's the man who's truly redeemed himself. Right. But if he doesn't do that, he goes on trial, and I have to say, I don't generally believe in the death penalty. The unrepentant war criminals, I think there's a case for hanging them. I really do. Because there is then a proper deterrent effect. Anybody going to war will think, I could finish up swinging for a rope here. Yeah. And these people are cowards. That's the kind of thing that will focus their mind. But Blair, we have a perfect right to put Blair to death for war crimes. It is still one of the things punishable by the death penalty. And of course he was very happy to see Saddam put to death. He didn't intervene there, so do as you would be done by.
Have you had any dealings with what we call the 1%, who I actually worked out earlier was a 0.004%, but we won't quibble over that. But have you had any dealings with those? I mean,
not in recent years. No. In the past, I met people like Mohammed Al-Fayed, Owen Oyston, people who got on the wrong side of the government. They wanted to know what I knew.
I mean, surely just having extreme wealth in itself puts you on a different plane. I mean,
I think Wallace Simpson said, the rich are not like us. And my experience of meeting the rich,
I think that's what it is.
No. The rich are exactly like us. They've just got more money. Right. That's what it's like. They're not different at all. They do the same crazy things we'd all do if we had too much money, basically. You know what I mean? It's a bit like this. It's a bit like that South Park where they're satirising where you can't understand why people like Tiger Woods shag around. Isn't it really ridiculous that all these high-power men shag around? We'd all bloody do that in those circumstances. Of course we would, unless we were bloody angels, for God's sake. You're a 21-year-old bloke full of testosterone. You've got beautiful women throwing themselves at you. You'd have to be an absolute saint not to go there.
But aren't you saying then that we'd all be psychopaths if we had that? Who are the psychopaths?
No, because I don't think necessarily the rich are the psychopaths. I think they...
Right, we're just talking about a small...
Yeah, that's again, minority. I mean, what you've got to bear in mind is the psychopaths occupy all sections of society. They're disproportionately represented at the higher levels, because in this day and age you've got to be psychopathic to get to that level of wealth, basically. You've got to really tread on other people. But no, you get psychopaths everywhere. You get female psychopaths, you get working class psychopaths as well. Right. When I'm saying consciousness cascades, I'm not talking down to the class system, I'm talking from higher consciousness to lower consciousness. But you find people of higher consciousness in all sections of society.
Because the richer psychopaths maybe are more dangerous because they've got more means.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously spiritually being rich is not good. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to go to heaven, and that's because God truly can't test you. I'd also say in this day and age that if you have made wealth, I would doubt it would have been by means that Jesus Christ in the Bible would approve of. Usually, because it's done through usury, through property and through interest and everything else. The Bible actually does give approval for true man-to-man capitalism.